Hi, it's Tracy Build. I want to talk to you a little bit more today about those very important follow-up calls. I know I've been spending a lot of time on closing, follow-up, giving you the language, the tools, but it's very important because that's what sales counselors and their organizations, the C-level people we work with as well, are telling us they're struggling with. So what I want to remind you is something very basic. This won't be too long of a podcast, but that is that where there is activity, there is success. And I can guarantee you that there is a direct correlation between the number of follow-up calls you are doing on a consistent weekly or monthly basis and the sales that you're experiencing every week or month. Now, you might not like to hear this because it's probably hitting a nerve. And if you're a sales counselor, you probably know that you're not just behind on your follow-up calls, you're dramatically behind. But don't worry, you're here, you're watching this. That's what's important, that you are open and receptive to learning. But what I can tell you is if you want to see a spike in sales, what you need to do is go into your calendar as soon as you get off this podcast and block out in your calendar for the next 2 to 3 weeks, 1 hour every day that you're at work that you can make those very, very important follow-up calls. And when you block out that hour, I want you to do a lock on it, meaning highlight it. Don't just write in there follow-up calls, but highlight it as a reminder to yourself that you are not allowed to put anything else in the slot of those calls. And then what I also want you to do is I want you to have that one sometime in the morning, your prime calling time, and identify for the morning times when is the greatest time to actually reach people that you found their home, and we find it's usually around 9:15 to 10:30. Then what I want you to do is block out a backup afternoon block. What time in the afternoon would be a good time to reach people and that you can commit to? So it might be the hour before you leave. So if you typically leave at 5, just make everybody start believing that you leave at 4. Now they're going to know what you're doing, but say basically, I'm unavailable from 4 on. Consider me gone. And then I want you to get a door hanger or one of those things that says available in an hour. And I want you to put that on your door when you're making these calls. If you have blinds, I want you to close the blinds, because what I'm doing right now is removing each and every excuse that you will have for not making follow-up calls. Now, if your ED is not watching these podcasts, I want you to forward this particular podcast to your executive director so that I can speak to them as well. And what I will tell them, so if you're an ED watching this, is that you need to help hold your sales counselors accountable and protect their very valuable selling time to the 1 hour of prime calling time, follow-up calls each and every day they're at work. If they don't, for any reason, get them done in the morning, then they need to use that backup afternoon slot and get those calls done before they leave. And I found that our sales counselors end up using that backup afternoon slot about 40% of the time, meaning if they don't have a backup, odds are the calls are only going to happen, say 60% of the time instead of 100% of the time. So if they're there 5 days a week, they're not getting in 5 days of 1 hour follow-up calls. They might get in 2, if they're lucky 3. But if you can motivate, encourage, and support as an executive director and help hold your sales counselors accountable, they will produce because they like to know somebody's watching them. And then once those calls start to happen each and every day, just 1 hour out of an 8 or 9 hour day, then what you will see is an increased appointment ratio. And the more appointments that you have coming on site that you're creating, not just waiting to drop in your lap through a direct mail or an ad campaign, but those that you are creating, calling into that very valuable database, you're going to see those close faster because those people already have a relationship with you. At some point, they were already referred or they'd already come in and visited, but there was something that happened, and maybe it's that nobody followed up with them, so there was no sense of urgency, and they just kind of let this decision fall to the wayside. If there were one thing you could do right now to jumpstart sales, I'm going to tell you what it is, and that is for every day that you're at work this month, to make that 1 hour of follow-up calls, a minimum of 20 outbound calls a day, and you will see a change. We got very serious about implementing this with our client base about 4 months ago. And I will tell you, those buildings that have followed through and that have taken us up on the challenge are soaring in their sales. They're excited and they're seeing amazing things happen. And you can be one of them too. Now, you've seen me talk about our on-demand marketing systems. Let me tell you, we are reaching into databases that have 400 leads, 600 leads. And for many of our clients that realize those calls just aren't happening, they're calling us and we are doing database cleanups. And we're getting through that entire database in about 3 to 4 weeks. And we're extracting those hot or warm leads that you didn't even know you had. And what that tells me is that you absolutely have gold in there. You just have to go in and dig for it. And if you're not going to dig for it, let us dig for it, because to us, it's exciting. It's a challenge. We know we'll find the leads, and we've got a team of awesome customer service and sales-focused people that are trained on my systems. They're not in a call center. They're working in other private offices. They can call and assist you. They'll be your marketing assistant, and they will knock that database out. And it's $1 per minute. So no, I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's not extremely profitable for us, but what it is it's more studies, because we're tracking every one of these database cleanups we do, and we are documenting how many leads we're pulling out of that database. And ideally, we should be charging you about $500 for every lead that we help pull out that converts into a move-in. But we're not. We're making it affordable because we know it's a critical part of this sales process. So I want to tell you, get on the phone and do it yourself, or contact me at tbuild@tracybuild.com, or you know where to find me on the website, and we will do it for you. But here's the bottom line. Somebody has to get into that database and make those calls, and I vote for you.